There's a mystic at the center of the narrative who is sort of guiding a documentary style, excuse me, piece in which she's sort of explaining a lot of ancient structures and their relationship with life, death, other dimensions, perhaps extraterrestrial life, and sort of an examination of sort of a spiritual connection between human existence and the existence of the earth. I find a lot of these ideas to be very interesting, regardless of how you might feel about the core veracity of what's going on and what's provable here. I think a lot of her ideas are backed up by very consistent historical understandings of how ancient societies used to function. Humanity in general used to have a much stronger attachment to nature, given the fact that we did not feel like we had control over it in the way that we may feel like we have right now, especially in regards to being able to predict weather patterns. I think it made a lot of sense for ancient cultures to have a much more reverence towards nature. So, the moon cycles, the cycles of the sun, what the land and the earth is telling them, because their lives are so much more tied to the unpredictability of that dynamic. And I think that she has an interesting idea about how having that tighter connection to nature is central to human evolution, spiritually, emotionally.
Definitely thought this was a really cool premise for a short. The idea of portals to an unseen world, time traveling, the multiverse, like this idea that there is more than just us is something that I completely think is a fascinating topic for a short. And I'm glad that there are people out there who were able to contribute to the story. What I really liked the most about it was the fact that it can't be a coincidence that different cultures in the past who didn't even know about each other were predicting the same thing. We're also seeing these portals. And I think having the interviews of the different people from these cultures was really cool to see as well. And kind of seeing the references from the past and how they translate to the present, and how a lot of people have basically opened their eyes to the fact that this is a reality. But I think because of how modernized we've become and how even in the past, like some of this would have been considered barbaric and whatnot, and just the fact that there are people out there who have evidence of some sort to support these theories, and I find that really interesting, and I wish that more people were more open to talking about it. So I truly loved this short. It was really, really cool. And the overall arcing idea of like we need to take responsibility for our past and the earth if we want to be able to move forward in our present day, and maybe if we do that, be able to see what we're missing.
Mystics in this piece is sort of a documentary style piece, discuss demigods and the various portals that exist around the world, like Stonehenge, for example, which they believe served as markers for various ceremonies. And they talk about the basis of the calendar, which are all based off solstice and equinox, when ancient people were primarily connecting to the earth, and through these various ancient practices. She also discusses extraterrestrials. What I thought was really interesting was to see the handprint markings. It was very shocking to me. And it's already been confirmed to us that there are other beings on this earth that are not human. And the government is finally starting to make admittance to that. But this even goes further to say that these extraterrestrials have been a part of our society since ancient times, and that many aliens have visited ancient peoples throughout centuries. And so what's interesting is the next evolution of human race, this mystic feels, is finding a connection to the earth again, as our ancient ancestors had, is our next step in life. And it just was a very interesting way to kind of look at how we are connected to the earth, to kind of look at how we view the earth nowadays, which we do take it for granted for the most part. Through so much of the industrial revolution, we've gotten so far away, and technological revolution, we've gotten so far away from just the natural connection to the earth and connection to the moon cycles and connections to seasons and things of that nature. And so, this piece definitely gave you a good sense of getting back.
It kind of gave me the same vibes you would get from the History Channel at 3 a.m., where it talks about a lot of the supernatural and a lot of things that we don't really know the answers to, like a lot of questions behind ancient civilization, and if there's any connection with that in the beyond. It's very well put together, and a lot of the effects are very impressive looking.
Very interesting. I thought, how do I know if there's portals out there? How do I know if there's aliens? It's always intriguing to me, the other worlds that we think about existing, and the fact that there's portals everywhere. That it just reminds me of a show I just watched. I think it was called Night Sky. It's just one season, so where they had the portals in their yards and stuff. Very interesting. Looking into the past for a better future. I thought that was interesting. There were some really great lessons here. When we take responsibility for the past, our own karma, that is when we truly start to evolve the human race. I think that's completely true. Respect the past. It clearly tells us about the future, just like history repeating itself. I thought those were really great messages. Beautiful shots of nature as well. I really loved the visuals and listening to her talk. But the visuals were really neat. I liked the aliens are like humans, but much more evolved. I thought that was interesting. Just very, very interesting and creative. It makes you think, really makes you think about what's out there that we're not seeing.
I thought this was really, really, really interesting. I think that when you're introducing concepts that are not necessarily widely accepted, it's always really fascinating to me, because I think there's so much in this world that doesn't have a hard, fast, black, white explanation. And when I at least get kind of introduced to a new idea or a new topic that I either haven't ever thought about before, I've never, thought of this before or really heard of this before, but because I've never heard of it before, I'm not going to immediately shut it down and write it off. I'm going to give it a chance, look into it, and, try and see the merits of it, or what people are saying about it, at least. So I thought this was really, really fascinating, mostly because I've never heard of a mystic before, so I had kind of no prior knowledge, which made it really, really interesting, and like I said, really, really fascinating to watch, because it's just such a different way of looking at the world and looking at these very specific places, and that I had never seen that way of thinking before, or seen those kind of concepts, like I said, were brand new and introduced to me.